Asked House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy how he would be more effective than outgoing House Speaker John Boehner. Listen to what he said.
I think from a perspective, I bring a generational change. And the one thing that the Speaker does is set a culture. And I'm from the bottom up. I listen to what's happening across this country. We need to change where people believe we're closer to represent them, that this government is theirs, that they are in control, and that we serve them.
What a change from just last Tuesday when he joined us. I want to bring in Andy Busch from Engaged Communications along with Horizon Investments Chief Strategist Greg Valliere. Good to see you, gentlemen. Thanks so much for being here. Greg, with Kevin McCarthy bowing out of this race, who's your favorite to become the next House Speaker?
Well, obviously, Ryan. I think Ryan would do a good job, and he could avoid a really serious crisis in December, which the markets have to pay attention to because the FOMC meets a week after this budget deadline of December 11th. So there's a lot at stake. With a lot at stake, I think Paul Ryan makes by far the most sense. Yeah,
this is one of those situations, Keith, where markets will pay attention to what happens with those meetings happening coinciding.
Oh, big time. And I agree with Greg. The catalysts on the calendar from a macro perspective are becoming daunting. We have October GDP is going to miss on October 31st. You have a Fed meeting that's coming in the back part of December with that budget reality in front of it and all this political uncertainty. Again, I don't know how people are going to attempt to get long and longer into that from a stock market perspective. I certainly will not.
Yeah, you want to take to the sidelines, I guess. Andy, how do you see all of this? What a shocker yesterday, huh?
Yeah, right. I think this is really a power play by the Freedom Caucus. They want the #2 spot in the House, the majority leader, and they're not going to get it right now. They just don't want Scalise there. They want to insert one of their own, perhaps Jeb Harseling. And I would say this, that the Freedom Caucus cannot rule. They don't have the majority. There's only 30 to 40 of these guys, so they have to figure out if they want to compromise at all to get their agenda through. And there's a lot of work to be done. You guys have mentioned the debt ceiling. That's November 5th, maybe. It'll probably be tied into the budget. So there's some major issues here, and I don't think they're done. The conservatives, the Tea Party people, done with shutting down the government. So I agree with Keith. I think it's a big risk going into the end of the year.
Dagen?
That's the thing is, like, the people who are behind we want to call them Tea Party, people in the Tea Party.
The Freedom Caucus.
The traditionalists, if you will. They don't, the shutdown in 2013 didn't bother them.
No.
And Ben Bernanke actually pointed that out as, like, one of the things that the Republicans did that he found really, really harmful.
That's right.
To the markets and the economy. I don't know where this goes. It's just a complete morass.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the issue. Maybe this is what the Republicans needed. I mean, this is what I said earlier, Greg. Maybe we needed to see some kind of a revolution to actually make people happy because people are so tired of the establishment.
Yeah, but it gets like the French Revolution with Robespierre and Danton. They start eating their own. At some point,
yeah.
I think it becomes by the way, I should point out there's a really important clue coming late this month because the Highway Trust Fund runs out of money. Ooh. If they can replenish it, and I think they can, that'll be a sign that maybe we can get through December without a meltdown.
So who do you think will be the next speaker then, Greg?
Oh, again, I think Paul Ryan, but I think for now, the speaker's going to be John Boehner. Yeah. We've got several more weeks of Boehner, and I think Boehner would like to get some things done.
How much political pressure will be on Ryan to say yes? He goes from presidential candidate to kind of a job nobody wants.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he's got
there's
3
a lot
kids.
of pressure on him right now, and I think his biggest holdback is that he doesn't have those 30 to 40 guys in the Freedom Caucus. And the other thing is that his best friend is going to be Nancy Pelosi, because that's who you got to work with in the House. So they've got to find a way. If you want to get highway funding done, if you want to get XM, bank done, if you want to get debt ceiling, just keep going down the list. You got to get some of her supporters on because not all of the Freedom Caucus is going to support those things. So that's the problem.
You know, here's the thing, too. This is so key. We are 13 months away, it's EMAC here, from a presidential election. I mean, it used to be that the Democrats were in disarray. Now it seems like the GOP is in disarray. It used to be that they would fall in line behind a Denny Hastert or a Tom DeLay or a Newt Gingrich. I find this really incredible. The thing is, can the Freedom Caucus govern? Can they lead? And it looks like they're disruptors, and they're a lot about what they're against, and, we know what they're for. I just think that, you know, this is a wake-up call to Busch, Rubio, and Kasich, that the establishment guys, they're not in favor right now.
And then there's Ted Cruz, don't forget that, running for president, who has been very critical of John Boehner.
And really, you've got to say, guys, what a tremendous gift for Hillary Clinton. Nobody's talking about Benghazi. She can now run against the dysfunctional Congress.
Well, that's the thing that makes me scratch my head about the Freedom Caucus, is they've blamed the Republican establishment for all the country's problems. If there was a united GOP, then they could effectively take on not only the White House, but any Democrat running for the presidency.
But they're so tired of the fact that nothing has gotten done. I mean, that's another issue, isn't it, Andy and Greg? I mean, when the Republicans took, you know, the majority in Congress in November, everybody thought there were going to be all these bills on the president's desk and that the president would be forced to veto, and that would paint his legacy in a certain way. That never happened.
No, it didn't, and I think that's part of the problem with the Freedom Caucus. It's so easy to criticize. It's very difficult to lead. If you want to have a one-party rule, then go to Canada, go to the UK, go to someplace else. But in the United States, it's a representative government.
Why didn't a McCarthy or a Boehner say, you know what, we will take this to the president's desk and let the president veto it?
Well, because they had to pass the Senate.
Right, I know that too, but I'm saying that as well. So then they can go in, the GOP can go into the presidential election saying, here, Mr. President vetoed this. At least we tried.
They don't have the votes.
They didn't have the votes in the Senate.
I know, but if you tried to repeal it, both sides are in disarray. Really, we're going to have a Hillary Clinton backfilling her authenticity gap with like this executive power plays on Wall Street, with gun control, you know, with student loans. Really, that's what we're left with?
Drug pricing.
Drug pricing.
Greg and Andy, what about that? I mean, do people understand how tough it is to get the votes required in the Senate in order to get to the president's desk?
No, they don't. And that's the problem. People got overpromised. I thought the Republicans last year would say, we're going to have the cure for cancer. I mean, they kept promising and promising and promising, and they don't have the votes.
Right.
Well, one thing I would say is that they didn't increase the spending. I mean, the sequester worked. So I think Boehner's done some really good things. The fact that he had to be shown the door, that he couldn't work with the Freedom Caucus and the conservatives, tells me a lot that they don't understand what you have to do to actually run a government or to compromise enough to get what you want. It's not perfect, but that's the way it works in this country.
Yeah, big time. Yep.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Great insights as always. Greg Valliere, Andy Busch there. We'll see you soon, guys. Have a good weekend.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Netflix.